Hello, my name is Micaiah Stevens. Welcome to Hamlet Development Log number 6. We have an easy way to contact us if you want. We are talking about the status reports. We like to give these out even if there have been a little bit, few minor setbacks. So we're still on the point 8 of the live branch, point 10 the Betty branch. We'll hope to get this changed up in the next week or two. Kind of just depends on when we have something to show. So we did the log 5 on March 11th. We started this on the log 6 on March 18th, which is today for me, early in the morning. And then we're going to push this out to YouTube on March 18th at noon. So you'll be able to see and see. We also posted a message on our discussion board saying that we're not going to have an update out this week, and we'll post. So this is it. This is the follow up to that. Also, I have some house maintenance work to work on today, so we're going to be doing that. So we're going to be talking about some status, talked about the Steam a little bit. We're going to talk about last time what happened. We're going to be talking about the setback, and then coming soon, and then our sort of reorganized goal. So previously in point 13 alpha, the alpha is the sort of the internal version. Um, we were talking about this idea that there's a person path. These are the three sort of pillars in the game. You have characters, then you have this project kingdom inventory, which sort of represents the town object in a sort of a roguelike dungeon, and then you actually have the dungeon itself. Yeah, so we do have a demo to show, but let's talk a little bit about the setback. I think that sort of fits in. Yeah, so the setback is sort of a little bit out of order here, but this is when we started implementing the Project Kingdom inventory into the main project. Project Kingdom was a very specific goal project that had, it was a testing ground for combat and testing ground for data, and the type of project that Project Kingdom in inventory is it's all based on the 2D world, the UI, the interaction, and stuff like that. And it was sort of built upon this sort of idea that the kingdom has citizens or people that they use, and the people, sort of the person path was this long drawn out path of that you've got these various. I think we talked a little bit about this, but we had various um, um, yes, various. My cat's like, come on, you can think of the word. Various classes that were derived from each other, and then it sort of became this long, drawn out idea. It sort of included a lot of extraneous data. I think it's really cool, and we'd like to continue this, but it's more of a side project and not actually part of this main game. When you meet a citizen in the town, you know, it's just Bob or whatever, and it doesn't really matter what his last name is. I mean, in the game it does, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter what his last name is or how many kids he has, or so it's that's part of the Project Kingdom is sort of making this a larger kingdom idea, which has sort of been the talk of let's do this, for fun in the background to sort of see what we could accomplish here, but it was meant to be like a more of a test project, and I think that's sort of when I put everything together, and then it also sort of there's another a different project that sort of was like there's a couple other projects that really could have used the UI um, testbed and UI development, and it was like it was either hard pressed to either combine those into one project, but or anyway, so we decided to go with that route, and we sort of taken out this kingdom idea, uh, and sort of the background of the people. They'll still have various names. We'll still have in our example. We can actually show. Maybe we'll show this in the game, since we do have. So this is kind of the new. And the other thing too about the sort of simplifying this is like the project, is going to go up to hundreds of megabytes here soon, but we're sort of in that early stage. We're not quite when we get everything sort of built and ready to go, then we can start adding in all the graphics and stuff. So, but for now, it's like it didn't feel like there was a good reason to go way too high. So I think it went from, I think we started out at 50 megs, got it down to about 20 megs, and then slowly over the last few weeks been ballooning. Anyway, so just to get right into it, it's pretty much the same thing. You still have these character names. Joe Wool is our, Joe is our. You should be. I guess it's in the adventure. You should know your name, but it's sort of a problem. Anyways, um, and then you can still pick up the axe, and then walk into the tree. So that sort of hasn't changed, and we still have the Larry Fine, Mo Howard. And then also, no, I guess we're not quite there yet. And then we also have Curly Howard. And then you can still drop down into the. But then a slight concern happened. Let's see, can you walk through the barrels? Yeah, you can walk through the barrels. Plus, you can walk through these. I think you can walk through the rocks. Yeah, so. Oh, trees. I think trees might be specific. Anyways, we're going to have to figure out what we did. And. Oh, yeah. I guess. Oh, yeah, this is part of the. I guess he is sort of sleeping. Anyway, so you can sort of see that we have a pretty a pretty small town that the NPCs won't be here, and a lot of these test characters won't be here. And see, oh no, can I? Yeah. So a lot of the things are still in place, and you can see the character has the various. I think we can pull up a ton. Um, is it this one? Yeah. Well. I guess there isn't a way to pull up. But you can also see the character still has hit points, armor, and various stats. They'll have achievements, various things you can do with the world. You can interact with the world. But that's all going to be part of the town level, which is still going to be, the kingdom isn't going to be. So you'll still have a house, which is going to be redesigned from into the dungeon look. It's still going to. Hopefully it's going to shrink down a little bit. I think it's a little too big right now with the character size that we're going with. Anyway, so then you still have the town level, and then we'll start integrating. You'll still have the character, which is sort of the core to any game. We can actually maybe showcase that a little bit. We have a slight demo. So that we have this manage units is sort of, it's like a single tin behavior that sort of takes in the characters, and then that creates these character objects, which are just character game objects, which are sort of how we like to do it. Character can be a JSON class or a scriptable object. In this case, it's a let's see, is there anything else we want to? No, it's just all good. And then get down to the character. There's just they don't have a lot of things here because it's just the actions of character when they changed their animation titles. The character is sort of like the animations, the action, you can get down to see some of the torch and the GPS, teleporter, health and energy and stuff like that. But it's part of the unit. Yeah, so this is kind of, a lot of this is just discussion. It probably doesn't mean we're talking about experience as a separate character, and that it seems like it's great, but it's not. It's sort of not really the way to go. For experience for various things, like there's a research character, and anyways, so you can see sort of now that we're down to the unit level, we have the name of the character, the display, the ID of the character, and some more. This is all, the unit is now sort of the unit is the pathfinding of the character. This so this is like critters and mobs and everything will derive from the unit class, and that will sort of, or mobs might actually derive from the character or something to that effect. We might put a layer in here, like have a player derived from a character as well, so we'll have to figure that out. But anyway, so we still have the core character that we were talking about in port 13, and then we'll have the town. And I think at this point, the next goal would be to implement the dungeons, because it's sort of a separate project that's been outside. The other thing too, I'm thinking about it, the reason it says version 15 is because we upgraded the project to 15, and because we wanted to get some various backups going and getting everything ready. So this is actually wow, some of the, I guess it's the tree is sort of, yeah, it's like cutting a path through here. Anyway, so we'll get that all organized and fixed up and changed. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. That was the 14 sort of this. 13 was like when we finished integrating all this, and then 14 was like going, oh my goodness, everything fell apart, and so we had to go back, and so it was kind of the fit back, the setback. So, anyways, part of that goal is talking about the dungeons. I think we've cleared out a lot of the code, and I think we can sort of continue. I think we're going to have to continue to clear up a lot of the old characters, and a lot of the relied on way too much of the old code. And it's difficult because there's like 15 or 20 different dungeon projects in there, and we're not sure how much effort we should take into to sort of ripping all the code out and sort of getting it down to more generic dungeon code, which we probably should do because it might make for better ideas and sort of, but especially since the dungeon is going to be so that's kind of the core project of where this game is going, is where you'll still have the Hamlet town level, which has always been the plan, is to have this Hamlet town level. You can mine wood, create resources to use in exploring in the dungeon. And the dungeon was always a path that was like you could go down there. It was going to be a little bit more dangerous sort of idea. So that's sort of the core still retaining, but we felt like it was just adding too much complexity to the game that that was going to add way too much. And if we develop the side projects on the side for so I mean, and again, I keep saying this, but it's just for me, it's like it's when you work 24/7, it's like if I put in 16 hours into this project, and then I eat dinner, and I'm done for the day, and I sometimes play games, but a lot of times, if I have the energy, then it's like I start putting into other projects, and it's like it helps the burnout massively if you don't put 20 hours into one project, because it's just like you're just sort of like forcing yourself to do stuff instead of like so I think the Kingdom inventory project will sort of I'm not sure how we're going to do inventory. We're probably going to keep it simpler, um, but we might integrate a few like a tools panel, and sort of have a minor equipment panel, or we're not quite sure exactly what we want to do. We know that roguelikes do have a ton of equipment, but we're not as it's not a big fan for us, because it's like then you're just sort of swapping out gear all the time, and if it drops too much, it's a fun game, I guess, in itself, but it's not so much that sort of the want to abstract out a lot of the game, and sort of, but we'll have to see. Once we get everything sort of, maybe in a couple months, we'll feel a whole lot better about the where the game's going, um, and where it's at, and then we'll say, hey, we got all this other code that's really coming together as well. Let's start implementing it back. But I think right now it's like, just because this is our first game, I think we're going to have to really sort of limit what's out there. It's always been the plan to limit what was out there and sort of get this. That's kind of why Hamlet was chosen as the name, um, because we felt like it was a small. It wasn't a town. It wasn't a kingdom. It was just a small village. And village didn't seem like a good game for the game, so Hamlet stuck. And there was a couple other game names that came up that were pretty cool, but they just didn't fit the theme of a kingdom simulator sort of game. And then yeah, we definitely I'm not afraid to talk about the fact that this is definitely in development, not promised coming never. We Hamlet 2 could include some more kingdom elements, that you could build up your Hamlet into this sort of village, and then that could enter into this larger world of the kingdom. And the kingdom is always going to be there in the background in the Hamlet 1 game, but you may not interact with it, or be able to go to that yet. But in Hamlet 2, and it's also maybe kind of a different idea is what the support of Hamlet is like long term. If the sales are continuing to rise and people are continuing to be interested in the game, then yeah, I could see putting out a DLC or even a free DLC, free updates to the game. I definitely don't mind putting out, um, you know, especially if I feel like the game needs to get into a much better state. Like right now, with this there's a massive change in markets right now for game, and it's like my game's kind of like it was meant to be in the middle of that, but now it's like there's a lot of games coming out that are like five or ten, $5 or something. So we'll have to look at the future of that. But to me, it's like as long as I can make a living off of this, and I definitely could see myself continuing to put a lot of time into and I want to because I really want to make that game where it's like really fun and adds in all these elements and it like sort of branches out. But yeah, is there a? Oh, I should have prepped this. Yeah, people don't mind my Steam. Let me go to the store because we want to talk about a new game that came out on Steam. Can you believe it? Dwarf Fortress is now out on Steam. It's pretty awesome. There isn't a price limit. I'm assuming it's between $5 and $20. I mean, I'm not going to try to shoehorn. It's by Bay 12 Games, so it's the same people that make Dwarf Fortress. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited about this. I hope you are too. This is kind of the adventure mode is sort of right, from Dwarf Fortress. Looking at the old way, there's kind of the roguelike Dwarf Fortress, and here's this new idea they have here. I'm a big fan of the graphics. And I guess it's partly how with the scale of the graphics, you can see the text is already. This could be a 1960, but that scale is pretty bad. So we'll have to see how that works out for them, and how readable the UI is, and two, how moddable the game is. Can you put in, see, look how small the text is. It's just extremely small. And I'm hoping they can scale that up or something. But that's sort of the problem with me is like I love Dwarf Fortress and I love these. I want to love Dwarf Fortress, but I can't get into the game because of the graphics and the text, and it's sort of. Anyways, I just thought I'd highlight that. It was really cool for me, that they're coming out. I definitely will probably try to pick it up. But hopefully you'll be interested in Hamlet as well. You can definitely see the aesthetics of Hamlet is much more 3D, and it's not. I thought about maybe going a little bit more overhead or trying to see how it looks, but right now I think this is kind of the look I like the most. Um, we can sort of, I like this. The dungeon I think is a little bit better. This camera angle is lower because we wanted the ability to not see very far. So once we fix some of those problems, we'll probably implement the dungeon camera where it's more pulled back and it's more like an adventure mode or more like and that's sort of like I talked a little bit. I was thinking a little bit about the fact that we're making a roguelike game, which is kind of why the move is pretty limited, but it would be fun to make an adventure-like game too. Because there's so many cool stories and ideas and things. But I think for now we're just going to stick to the just building up this starting world, and I think that's the goal: is to build a project to such an extent that we can have a really fun interactive world that we can add in so many other things to, and start adding in tons and tons of different um, objects, and sort of make it kind of not I don't think I would ever match Dwarf Fortress, but match some of the coolness of having and then giving me a sort of a game engine in Unity that can sort of support a bigger and bigger worlds, and make it easier to develop through the hopefully the decisions we're making now to make the code base simple and and anyway, so thank you very much for checking out. I think that's a good example. of what we're talking about. So we appreciate everybody. You can sort of leave a comment. We're talking about Discord. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find my wherever it is. One of these. Oh, here it is. OBS. Where are you, OBS? Anyways, another 20 minutes. That's pretty good. So hopefully the setback will just be minor. It's just a minor setback. But it's sort of, I do like the fluid development and sort of like trying to say, not lock myself down to what I'm trying to do, but also realize that I do have to limit myself. And I think that I sort of just overreached a little bit, and the code became way too complex. And I felt like the projects that are, I looked at a lot of the projects I was working on and realized that the major sub projects were sort of getting, it's like I developed a feature for one project and it's like, oh, I really wanted this project, so it's like a, it became like a, obviously those projects are more intertwined than this one actually was. And I think we will get the characters and the inventory and a lot of the cool stuff active, but I think I might do it quite a bit different. I sort of had everything in place, and I was like kind of afraid to sort of use that system, because I had developed a different system that was sort of a little bit more complex. But complexity doesn't always make for funner gameplay. So, anyways, hopefully it will be, but then again, as we put 6 more months into this, we can really look at that and say, is this really, can we add more of the kingdom base code and add more of the more interactive, elements and more cool things. Does Bob have a family? Isn't Bob married? We got to know the answer to these questions. Maybe in 6 months we'll know if Bob ever gets married. You take care. Have a good one.